So to me, it sounds like war.
It is war. It's a dirty war. And I was just watching the closing episode of a wonderful show called Broadchurch, and the two barristers are discussing the closure of a trial at the end. And one says to the other one, look, this is nothing but glorified street fighting in wigs.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. So if you want to get dirty with me, I'll get dirty with you, and I'll put you on video. And that's what they don't want, as we discussed in the first half hour, with that dirty law firm that accused me of issuing a death threat. So I had to sue them. You know, deflect. You know, keep us busy so that we can't get to the real issue.
Which is, you guys don't get this house.
Right.
This house ain't your house. You didn't pay for it. You didn't loan the money for it.
Right.
You got the bailout. You got the mortgage insurance. You've been paid like 3 times already. Like, yeah, and then operating in good faith. Well, we have a special guest with us today who's been with us in the past, the Honorable Chris King. And how you doing?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Good. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you. It's good to be here again.
Yeah, well, you know, at least we had a nice day for you to ride the bike down, right?
That's right.
You don't care, though.
Well, I do care.
You do care?
It's a lot nicer.
It's better, right?
I saw you take off down the street in the pouring rainstorm one day, so I knew you know, hey, if you got rain gear, who cares, right?
There you go. We're in Seattle after all.
Now, just a side note, before we get into this very serious topic of mortgage and the crisis and what's going on, and the follow-up from our last meeting, when you're riding your bike in the rain, do you have the water stove up your boots that way, or do you get a way to protect it?
So. It does not.
Okay, good.
You could have asked me that.
Well, I know.
You know, motorcycle riding has a new popularity that it never had before, and more people are riding bikes these days, and more carefully, and bikes are better.
Right.
So it's kind of good.
Right.
So, Chris, you tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's remind our listeners who you are and what you do.
Well, what's germane to this is that I was a communications major. I studied a lot of real estate law and worked in that area for many years, clearing title for wireless cell companies and things of that nature. I've been, a zoning coordinator, a zoning director, a project manager, and also an escrow attorney. So that leads me to, and also in a former life, before law school, I worked for a daily newspaper. So I was a photojournalist, and I combine these, these disciplines now at Mortgage Movies Journal, where you can see videos, courtroom videos, depositions, and real-life videos about the reality of the mortgage crisis as manifest on today's homeowner.
So we are actually in a private property rights crisis right now across the board, right? Everything from water rights and people wanting to put meters on private wells, and you know, you don't own the water, we own the water. You don't own the house, we own the house.
Meters on your car and how far you use it.
I mean, we're in a private property right crisis, but nowhere is it being more manifested in this non-judicial foreclosure of homes, that type of thing, right?
That is correct.
This is really this is the front line.
It is. And it takes a homeowner a miracle to get through the maze, even when the homeowner is applied for HAMP or for any type of mortgage assistance or any of their programs, as we will discuss in the second half hour. It's Byzantine, and it's crippling to the homeowner who's trying to get somewhere. You know, even a good faith homeowner who's had her home for 15 years ran into problems and went to Nation Star for help, and we'll see what happened later.
Well, you think about this too, that people think, oh, the mortgage crisis, that was years ago, right? That was 2008, that was 2009, right? No, or 2007, right? But no.
Well, it's ongoing and manifest right now, and one of the biggest problems we have, of course, is MERS, Mortgage Electronic Registration Service, and those people, or that entity rather, is a quasi-criminal agency basically, and they fabricate documents, they masquerade under different names, and they don't pay for transfers of property as they should. And that's why in Multnomah County, 3 hours away from here, they sued MERS, and they settled for what I believe to be a paltry $9 million. But it's not paltry because, you know, Shama Swant had a big rally a few weeks ago about the homeless situation, and they're looking for $10 million somewhere in the city budget. And as I told City Hall many months ago, and as many of us told them, look, the money that you're looking for is right here in Marie McDonald's report, her audit of King County Recorder of Deeds. And you have Marie and several of us on this show earlier, unlike mainstream media, which kind of treats us like, you know, persona non grata, you know, it's like we're pariahs or something. They don't want to talk about the real issues.
When you raise up, these are things that are affecting homeowners across the nation, across the world, but right here in Washington State, where people are losing their home, not having any rights, and you bring it to the attention of those that were supposed to serve you in the public eye, and they don't want to deal with it, right? Because it's not pretty. You have these corporations, right? You have this non-entity, this MERS thing, this thing that may or may not understand. But the thing is if the more people knew about this, they would be storming the gates, right?
Oh, absolutely, and I've had several discussions, you know, with Jesse he's with King 5 now. They'll come out and they'll cover stories sporadically. For example, the first story we're going to talk about with my lawsuit against Wright, Finlay Zak, the foreclosure mill, they covered an aspect of that case, the underlying case, where the homeowner won $214,000 because of what's called abusive conduct, basically, outrage, you know, intentional infliction of emotional distress, that sort of thing. But they didn't want to cover the story, the backstory there, which involves me. And see, I know that I'm not that guy. They don't want to parade me anywhere. And me and my people, they don't want us out there. And so that's what happens even when you have well-intentioned journalists who's mainstream, they get the hand down. I know they do.
So on that note, when you talk about intentional to cause emotional harm or whatever, this type of lawsuit, obviously there's got to be someone strong enough to stand up and say, you know what, this is wrong. We will not stand for this anymore. We've got friends that have the ability to take on cities or government or mortgages or what like this. Disregard. So give us an example of what the bank would do to cause harm.
Well, okay, let's talk about that first case then. Lucero versus Bayview or Cenlar Servicing. This was a case that I ran the depositions for, and if you Google Lucero or Cenlar or Affordable Video Depot, you'll find that lawsuit, the depositions from that suit that I recorded, and this was back in 2014. And the defense attorneys didn't like the fact that I was running depositions, and the attorney Heidi and Omar Barrazza, who's an advertiser here, they were lead counsel on that case. And we came originally from Scott Staffney, but they prosecuted this case, and it involved outrage. The servicer was tacking on fees, attorney fees, and all kinds of gross misconduct to this homeowner, Leticia Lucero. And I think she's on the east side over there. But in any event, long story short, I'll stick with that case first and then branch on to ask how my case is intertwined. What happened was, there was a bench trial a few months ago, and I want to say it was in December or October, late October 29th, I think. And the judge in that case, Judge Lasnik, found in favor of the homeowner for $214,000 plus attorney fees could be submitted as well. So congratulations for them. But along the way, honestly, my relationship with Heidi soured because of issues that were manifest when I went to take a video of her deposition. Now, so the readers understand, the listeners understand, this was a deposition. The ones that I recorded were the ones that Heidi conducted of defendants, and they were noticed as video depositions. So, it came time for them to take the deposition of the plaintiff, Ms. Lucero, and they indicated it was going to be a video deposition. We didn't have clear-cut authority to video it, but I asked them, and we agreed when I showed up. And I have all this is taped. And they agreed to let me run video of that deposition. Well, some other co-counsel arrived, and Joe McIntosh, and I forget the other name, but they appeared, and Heidi Morrison, and they appeared, and then all of a sudden they reneged on that promise, on that agreement. So you can hear me packing up, and as I'm packing up, Luke Wozniak, who's one of the attorneys, he works for Wright, Finlay Zak, I basically said, hey, this is interesting. You know, you guys talk about how you espouse openness and accountability, and I says, then all of a sudden my cameras come up, and then everybody runs for the hills, and then he says, that's for me to know and you to wonder. And I turned back to him. As I'm packing up, you can hear me packing my tripod up as I'm talking to him. And I said, hey, I think I already know. And he says, get out. And I said, whoa, watch your tone to me, counsel. I'm packing up. And he said it again. And I said, just like I talked to my dog. I said, stop it. And this guy, all the hubris in the world, looks at me. And then his co-counsel looks at me and says, do you want me to call security? And I said, do it. And I said, no, put that on video too. I said, you don't scare me, counsel. And then all this is on video. You can hear it if you go to Mortgage Movies Journal.
It sounds like
it's unbelievable,
man.
We'll follow up next.
I like Chris King.
Me too.
He's a good guest, good guy. He's fighting for us. We'll be back with more after this. This is Doug Baslin.
And Marty McClendon. This is Eyes on Washington on a Thursday.
Are you getting upset? Sound like you're getting upset over that.
That's dangerous, right?
I love it.
It's good entertainment.
That's right. Come on, baby.
We all need to be getting upset right
That's right.
now.
See, and they want to get rid of me because I'm the messenger. Nobody shoots what I shoot
Yeah.
on a consistent basis. They
You're
figure
the
if
man.
they get rid of me, they get rid of the,
Yeah.
chop it off at the head.
Hang on, here we go.
Sure.
Marty's got to run, so.
Now, back to Eyes on Washington with Doug and Marty on 8:15 The Answer.
And we're back with more Eyes on Washington. This is Doug Bassler.
And this is still Marty McClendon. All right? And we're so glad you're joining us on Thursday.
Thursdays are good. You know why?
Why is that?
Because Friday's coming, man.
Right around the corner, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
That's right.
Yeah. And we have our second time around, or is this a third bite of the apple for you? It is. Third time. We have Chris King here. Chris is, boy, I'll tell you, is no more passionate defender of your homeowner rights and your property rights and your mortgage rights than Chris King. And we got him.
We do.
That's right.
What I love about it, too, is we have to keep on reminding people of what's going on. All too often, we're so blinded by so many things distracting us, right?
That's right.
So people like Chris and his team out there, they're keeping to the fight, keeping this in the public eye, knowing that this is not going away unless we do something about it, right?
That's correct. And speaking of going away, they want me to go away. So to follow up with where we left off at this deposition last year, they threatened to call the security on me. And I said, you can't do that. I said, I'm a licensee or I'm an invitee. Whatever it is, I'm not a trespasser. I'm packing up. And it wasn't even arguably their argument to make because, they were renting that space anyway. So it's, we won't get into all that, but the bottom line is I was clearly packing up and they're giving me all this, threats and hard time. So I wrote an email then and I made a video at the time and I used that recording. But basically what happened was I stuck my DSLR in my bag and it was still running. That's the only reason I happen to have this. So they thought they could threaten me, at will without any notice of it. But then I happened to catch it. And I got downstairs and went to, finish packing up. And I said,
still
the
running.
red light's still on. Whoop, gotcha. So anyway, that's why there's no real video of that portion. It's just a black bag, because I folded it up. But anyway, so I warned them. I made the video. I said, Luke, don't you ever threaten me again, son. Literally, I was winning First Amendment jury trial before this guy could even pee straight. He graduated law school, 2006? I was out in 93 winning trials in 95, 96. Come on, man. You can't talk to me like that. So, but he tried. So flash forward a year, and this trial, the underlying case is going to trial. And I knew for a fact that Judge Wozniak admonished Luke Wozniak that he needed to treat the witness with compassion and respect. So I said, oh, well, that's interesting. And I wrote
This is the homeowner, right?
Right. The homeowner was on the stand during
Yes.
the pretrial hearing.
Okay.
And I says, oh, that's interesting, Your Honor. I wrote a letter, a broad-based email to everybody. I said, that's funny because he needs to learn that lesson, period. Look how he treated me. And I went on to say, I knew he was in Europe at the time, and I said, listen, you're in Europe right now, and I said, I haven't been there about 10 years, but my friend's over there right now. He just sent me a picture of a brown Jesus. And I'm saying that those guys are racist, and I says, I have a good faith belief that Jesus was brown anyway, so maybe you should get good with him. Get good with a brown man, instead of trying to put me in prison or something, or call security on me. Again, the dangerous black man syndrome, okay? So, intellectually dangerous, yeah, so I'll give him that. But never physically violent, never. It's crazy. Sure. So it's so ludicrous, it'd be unfathomable. So anyway, they know that, but they just want to see what they can get away with. So what they end up doing is, Renee Parker steps in, his co-counsel, and she says, oh, well, you knew that he was overseas and that I'd be reading his emails, and it was clearly foreseeable that this was a death threat. Meaning, meet your maker. Okay? Now, there's a problem with that. The problem with that is several-fold. I don't know where to start. I'll start with number one. They never call the police. Two, they never call the FBI. I mean, what's the first thing you're going to do if you're threatened with your life, guys?
Well, probably call somebody. Whether you're carrying
That's
or not, right? Right.
That's more ammo, right? I might do that too, right? But something's got to happen. Something real's going to happen. These guys are members of the bar. They know how to avail themselves of the correct assistance to help someone, to help themselves in this system, in this situation. So they didn't do that, and furthermore, they wait until the day of the hearing when I show up to tell the judge that, oh, I want him removed from the courtroom. Now keep in mind, Judge Wozniak is a former prosecutor, and he didn't particularly care for my presence, but he did not make me leave because he knew that I never issued a death threat. Now, let's follow it through to its fullest extent. Had he believed that, do you realize I could be imprisoned? That's a I don't want to say it's a $50,000 fine, maybe 7 years, something like that. It's a federal offense to issue a death threat. But they were trying to do that to stain me, because if he had just said, I want you out of the courtroom, as I noted in the video I made just the other day, my career is effectively over. So that's the first problem, is they never notified anybody. I told Seattle police about it too, to see if they had told them, because it would have been a false report. But they didn't. And the other problem with this is that I found a homeowner in California who was dealing with one of their name partners. Zak is his name, of Wright, Finlay, and Zak. That's W-R-I-G-H-T, Finlay, F-I-N-L-A-Y, and Zak, Z-A-K. Just Google their name plus death threat, and you'll see all the videos, folks. They're on Mortgage, Movies, Journal, okay? They're all right there. So anyway, the problem is this partner had used more insulting language to pro se litigants in their case. He said, I'm the Terminator, you better get on your knees because you're going to have a come to Jesus moment, because I'm the Terminator. But so she raised the issue in that deposition, and I have the transcript, where she said, wait a minute, you can't talk to me like that. And then his associate counsel was laughing. So if it's laughter for a privileged white male to say that, how does it become then, by dint of me being somewhat of an underground journalist, how does a black journalist at that, how does that become a death threat when I'm saying it to other seasoned attorneys? It doesn't. So I sued them for outrage, intentional infliction of emotional distress. I mean, my mind went, I had to seek counseling because of this, because I thought, oh my God, people have tried this on me before and lost. When you get too vigorous, they'll try anything they can. And I am basically the spearhead of the video movement out here. Nobody does what I do in the whole country. I fly state to state and cover court hearings and mortgages with my professional analysis and case law that I look up on Lexis. Nobody in the whole country does that consistently except me. So they figure if they can knock me out, they can get away with more crimes.
Think about this, right? Whenever you step up and step out and you're fighting for other people's rights and saying, this is wrong, this is a wrong that needs to be righted. It didn't happen to me, it happened to others, but I have my skill set and the tools to actually do something about it. And then you find yourself in a personal battle, right? All too often, then they make it personal against you.
And then accuse me of making it personal.
Right. And so now you have to defend yourself. In the meantime, they're taking you away from what you were doing in the first place, which is raising awareness to the issue of people being screwed out of their home loans, right?
It reminds me of, I've seen where they provoke them, and then when they get mad, then they got an anger problem.
That's right.
And then provoked to death.
And I don't get mad, I get even. So I went out there and I filed my lawsuit in state court. I had 6 or 7 claims, 7 claims. The 7th one was a federal claim of conspiracy to violate my First Amendment rights, which they failed at doing. But at any rate, they tried to remove it to federal court based on diversity, and also the amount in controversy was allegedly more than $75,000. But not to make people out here fall asleep, but let me explain briefly. First of all, the state law claims clearly predominate in this, okay? You could remove my federal claim and nothing changes about the texture or tenor of my lawsuit. That's the first test. The second test is the amount in controversy certainly over $75,000 to bring it into federal court? And it's not. Okay, they said, oh, well, Mr. King is citing the Lucero case itself for that same cause of action, and that case came into $214,000. Therefore, the amount of controversy is probably over 75. And I said, wait a minute. That's like saying I have a soft tissue injury case. Some people have soft tissue injury cases that go for 75,000 or more. Therefore, my case is worth 75,000 or more. It defies logic. And the other thing is, I could have, if they had asked me, I could have stipulated that I only want $74,000 in damages. But they never asked. And here's the reason why, folks. Maybe people don't know this, but you can't bring cameras into federal court. And if they're in state court, which is right where I want them, and I'm going to get them back there on remand, that way I can video all these shenanigans and let the American public see what's really going on. And so
I want this guy fighting for me, don't you?
Yeah, he is fighting for you, Mark.
I know.
That's the point.
That's right.
Now, he uses big words like pro se, which I learned last time he was on means defending yourself, not hiring an attorney.
Right. I'm picking up new words every day.
And he says germane, which means it applies to it.
Oh, does it mean it's German?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that's like germane chocolate cake.
Got
it's
it.
different.
Saint Germain makes a tasty beverage.
And Jermaine Jackson had a couple of hits. So
did he really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But different from what he's talking about. So we always try to get Chris to speak English when he comes to the program, or at least, well, it is English. It's just English that we can all understand.
Is that the high English versus the low English, whatever,
And you're still riding a Honda, right?
I got the Honda, but I rode the Triumph today. It's a
Oh, you
nice
did?
day out.
Oh, okay.
Oh, absolutely.
You won't ride the Triumph in the rain?
I hate cleaning it up.
Yeah, it's awful pretty.
It is pretty.
I'm gonna keep it pretty clean.
But I used that Triumph to deliver my motion for remand the other day to Wright, Finlay, and Zak, where I ran into an old colleague of mine.
So you're a practicing attorney as well, right?
No, but I can practice my own cases.
Sure, anybody can
Yeah.
do their own.
So that'd be
And
pro se.
Pro se.
Ah.
Right. And I'm also allowed to offer assistance on home loans and mortgage assistance.
Sure.
So, and that's a case out of South Carolina that says, as far as loan mods go, you do not have to be a licensed attorney to help on those. And because someone filed a complaint against me the other day in Maryland, and I threw that back in their face, and I said, you know what? I don't see any statute that says, like, in Maryland that says that. And I have decisional law here, and in Washington, I know I don't have to be a licensed attorney to do that. So, go pound sand.
But obviously someone who's passionate
Yeah,
and has
pounding sand,
experience.
what does that mean?
How about go kick rocks?
Yeah,
How about
okay,
that?
kick rocks, that's good, I like that.